In the audience. She has an awesome post today about getting over your fears, and I'm sure all of us will become very well acquainted after the session today. So I'm super excited to dive in with all of you. So the first thing that I want to ask, just dive in with a question. We're here to learn how to supercharge our presence and to build a brand for ourselves, right? So let me know in the chat, what does presence or executive presence mean to you? And the second question, what are you hoping to learn from the session today? So what does executive presence or presence mean to you? And what are you hoping to learn from the session today? So let me know in the chat. And as you are typing in your responses, I'm going to let you know what presence means to me. So when I hear about executive presence, that actually feels very intangible, a bit nebulous. You know, when people say, oh, you need to improve your executive presence, I'm like, okay, but like what aspect? So to me, presence means two things. One, how you are seen. So that's more the traditional definition of presence, right? So how others see you. But also the second definition of presence specifically is where you are seen. So what is your presence even when someone isn't face to face with you, right? So when people say, oh, you have a wonderful LinkedIn presence, that is still presence, right? Even though they're not talking to you. So these two things are really critical to building a career brand that stays with you. So I'm gonna jump over to the chat here. All right, so a lot of great responses. Hi, Helen. So Swati says, how do people describe you when you're not in the room? That's my definition number one. Excellent. Anuja, own the room. Also, if I'm mispronouncing anyone's names, please just phonetically write it into the chat for me so I make sure I get it correct. Pushpa, the way leaders and other team members perceive me. Yeah, so a lot of perception. Naina, the way you carry yourself. Atreyi, strong voice, being confident, right? How you're seen as a leader. So a lot of you seem to be touching on that first piece of presence, right? How others are seeing us. And then Alyssa says, ability to influence and convince stakeholders you need to make a project successful. Charlotte says, presence means the ability to articulate information and ideas effectively. Excellent. And Helen, presence, your credibility personified. So all these are excellent answers. And it turns out, as we can see in the chat, executive presence is a lot of different things to different people, but these are some of the words I continued to come across when I was doing some research. So executive presence is gravitas. People who have gravitas seem really important. They command respect and people take them seriously. People with executive presence have great communication, so they know how to frame and present information and insights in a clear and compelling way, whether it's written or verbal. And then appearance is a big factor as well, right? Do you look the part? Are you polished? Are you presenting yourself well? Now, ultimately, executive presence is how others perceive you and whether it's in a way that helps you advance in your career and get you other opportunities. Now, in addition to those traits, I would say that executive presence very much felt like, or feels like sometimes, a code for adopting the dominant group's preferences, right? So these are, you know, the white middle-aged man, they're kind of loud in a suit, domineering personality. So in the past, perhaps, if someone had told you, you need more executive presence, they'd kind of want you to emulate or encompass or embody that definition. But thankfully, so much has changed in our workplaces that the definition of executive presence has really transformed as well. Now, we have seen major economic changes over the past few years, right? Cultural changes, technological changes, and all of this has shifted so that executive presence focuses less on those superficial factors I just mentioned about being loud, looking a certain way, and instead they're thankfully focused more on the person and their soft and people skills. For example, being authentic is going to be embraced over fitting a mold. So being able to exhibit things like empathy, humility, and other similar traits are important. Leaders value you being open to bringing your unique viewpoints to the table, right? It's not just whatever they say goes, but they want you to contribute. Now, I want to share some really interesting studies around executive presence published in Harvard Business Review that really highlights this shift. So here we are looking at changes from 2012 to 2022. So you can see here that confidence and decisiveness stayed at the top as the two most important. But then respect for others jumped to number 3. It wasn't even a category in 2012. And inclusiveness is also a completely new category in the top 5, top 6 here. So these are two, right, very people-focused relationship skills. Now, when it comes to communication, command of a room from 2012 has become being able to command a room or a Zoom room. Listening to learn is a new one in 2022. And thankfully, things like forcefulness have been completely pushed off. We also see authenticity as a new category, replacing joking and bantering manner. And now body language has really jumped in importance, which I'm not surprised about given now our the importance that we're placing on virtual interactions. Now, lastly, appearance. Authenticity appears at number 2. And then curation of your online image appears on the list at number 4. Again, both of these were not in the list in 2012. So we're seeing a lot has changed. And the exciting thing is that executive presence can be learned, right? It's not something that we are inherently born with or that only applies to a certain group. Now, executive presence is a really big topic, right? There's lots of moving parts. We could talk about it all day. But for the session today, I've narrowed it down to focus on 3 key areas I view as really critical that are going to help you grow your presence and help you increase your authority and confidence and help you reach all those goals that you have for the session today. So the first one, communication. We saw that communication is one of those major pillars earlier. It's just as critical when it comes to executive presence. Career brand. So this is really important because if we want to build a long-lasting career and a strong reputation, we need to think a lot more intentionally about how we want others to see us and what we want to be known for. And then the last C, credibility, because without it, it's really hard for anyone to trust or believe in you, which leaves you stuck and not being able to move forward. So that's going to be another critical piece. So the session today is going to be a mix of self-reflection. We're going to have opportunities to practice new skills together. And then we'll have about 10 to 15 minutes at the end of our session for you to ask questions that have come up. And so you can add those into the chat and they'll be gathered for the end. So I want to start off here with communication. So today we're going to cover 2 different aspects of communication, what you say and how you say it. Now, when it comes to what you say, one of the biggest areas of opportunity I see is around removing something called minimizing language so that you sound more confident and knowledgeable. Then we're going to talk about how to communicate impactfully through your written communication. First, can anyone tell me what minimizing language is? So let me know in the chat. Have you heard of it? Do you know what it is? Do you think you use it? Throw it in the chat. Yeah, Helen just. Strong example of that. Did she have filler words? Natasha, is it we got some filler words here. Sarah throwing some. Pushpa, hook. Amy, literally. Swati caveman language. Carrie, okay. And my 20 cents. Yeah, so along these lines, right? So minimizing language is language that uses words or phrases that weaken a speaker's message or that use really passive language. So I'm going to take us through a few common phrases of minimizing language and how we might transform those phrases. And if you have used any of these phrases at any point in your career when they pop up on the screen, give me a +1 in the chat. It'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of us are guilty of using minimizing language at some point. I know I certainly am. I wanted to just see that we're not alone in this, right? So the first one here. Oh, my mistake. I'm so sorry about that. How might we improve that? Instead, we can say something like, oh, thank you so much for catching that and letting me know. Another common one. Does that make sense? I use this one a lot. You want to make sure, right, when you're asking this, you're like, oh, I want to make sure I'm clear. It seems like I'm asking a nice thing, right? But when you ask it in this way, it can make it seem like you're not entirely sure if what you said made any sense. Instead, you can change that to, let me know if you have any questions, right? So you're still being helpful this way, but it's a little bit more confident, showing that you are firm, you understand what you said, and then you're still having that opportunity for feedback.
Let me know if you have any questions.
Another one. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm running late, usually for meetings, right? So this is often said with really frantic energy. It can make you seem really frazzled when you get on the call. Instead, we might try, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for waiting. So here, instead, kind of coming up with that, frenetic energy, instead you're showing appreciation, which sets the meeting on a more positive footing, right? A lot of +1s in the chat. Yes, me too. Another one, I'll try to get it done by Tuesday. Instead, let's make a statement. So I'll plan to get it done by Tuesday, and if anything changes, I'll make sure to let you know ahead of time. This way you sound less wishy-washy and you show that you are going to be proactive in your communication. Another one, this is a big one. I feel we should do this, or I feel like we should go in that direction. So I want us to try to avoid any I feel statements, right? You're either making a recommendation or you're sharing your perspective, which is going to make you seem a lot more confident.
My recommendation is.
And then lastly, perhaps one of the worst offenders, which Ann mentioned when I asked, what does minimizing language mean? Just, right? Let's all agree to eliminate it entirely. So phrases like, oh, I just wanted to add, or I just wanted to say, we don't need the just. Simply state what you wanted to say. So now that we have some examples, I'm seeing a lot of +1s in the chat, so we've all experienced this at some point or another. I want us to do our first group activity to practice switching minimizing language to more confident language. So we have 3 minimizing statements here. Sorry to bother you, but I'm not sure if this is right. This may not be important. So what we're going to do is in the chat, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to choose one of these, 1, 2, or 3. Write the original statement in the chat, and then an arrow, and give me the new and improved statement. So there's not going to be, a specific right answer for these. We're all going to have our own way of expressing the non-minimizing statement. But take 2 minutes, choose one of these 3, or if there's one that you know after seeing those examples that you've used before, feel free to choose one of those as well, and then drop it into the chat. And let's get inspiration for how we might update these phrases. So I'll start the timer at 2 minutes. And if there are any questions, just feel free to let me know in the chat. Oh, everyone's so fast. Okay, let's see here. So Amy is changing. Sorry to bother you, but could I have your attention on this? Pushpa, I'm not sure if this is right. This is my thought. Happy to discuss your idea. Nice, very collaborative too, right? Still showing that you're opening the door to that. Unita, sorry to bother you. Change to. Thanks for taking the time to. Thank you for taking the time for this. Nuja, I'm not sure if this is right. Let me know if anyone else has any other points of view on this. Yes, excellent, love it. Emma, sorry to bother you. I want to make you aware. Yeah, so proactive, and it shows that you're helping other people. You need to another one. This may not be important. Drop it all together. Yeah, that's an option as well. Natasha, sorry to bother you, but I need your input on. I'm not sure if this is right. Instead, can you be my second pair of eyes? Or this may not be important. This might be lower in priority. Elisa, I'm not sure if this is right. Change to, would love your thoughts on this. Excellent changes. I love these. Swati, this may not be important. Change to, how should we prioritize this? Nice. Deepika, I'm not sure if this is right. Change to, please let me know if you have some other thoughts. And a Trey replacing sorry by thank you. This is great. Gratitude over self-doubt. Yes. And that really just puts a positive spin on things as well. Now you need it with number 3. I'm not sure if this is right. Change to, my understanding or impression is that. And Jean, I'm not sure if this is right. Change to, I'm happy to discuss this further. Nice. And we are actually at 2 minutes now. Looks like you all got actually multiple in. Mika, one last one. I'm not sure if this is right. Change to, I would like to get your perspective on this. Love all of these. Thank you for sharing. Oh, and one more from Carrie. Okay, change to, appreciate your suggestions and let's figure out a better solution. All right, so you all put great ones. These are ones that I would, transform. This is how I would transform these phrases. So a little bit more inspiration here. So sorry to bother you, but instead, I'd love to get your input when you have a moment. I'm not sure if this is right. The data suggests that, XYZ, and this may not be important, but instead change to, I think it's important to consider. So you all did an excellent job transforming those phrases. Next, I want to talk about written communication, especially as it pertains to sharing out updates. Now, through my own experience at LinkedIn and talking to others who have since left LinkedIn, I've seen that LinkedIn places a particular emphasis on the important skill of promoting your work in a humble, non-braggy way, of course. Now, I remember when I was on the editorial team, and I don't know, you are also doing this, but we would write in each week what we were working on in a team newsletter. And that was actually a skill I had to learn to figure out what was important to share. And when I had to write my own emails promoting a project, that was also a skill I had to practice. So I want to take a look here at a common email that we might all send out and figure out how we can improve this. So let me make this bigger here. So dear team, I wanted to provide an update on the marketing team's recent activities. We are currently developing a new campaign, which is a significant project requiring substantial time and resources. The team has been dedicated to brainstorming and refining ideas for this campaign, aiming to finalize our approach shortly. In parallel, we are analyzing data from our last campaign to understand its impact and identify areas for improvement. This analysis is in-depth and ongoing, and we expect to draw actionable insights from it. Additionally, we are in the process of hiring 2 new members to strengthen our team. Finding the right candidates is our priority, and we anticipate completing this process soon. I will share more detailed information and insights in our upcoming team meeting. Okay, that was a lot that I had to sift through, right? So it's not a horrible email, but there are ways that we can improve it. So let's take a look. So what you see here in blue are all the changes. So, there's some, kind of tightening up of the language and all that, but there's not too many things we have to change to already make this so much better. So what exactly is this email changing here? More information in the subject line, right? Subject lines are so key. Always try to include as much information as you can so people can have an understanding of what is going to be inside the email and also understand if this is something that they need to open sooner rather than later. There's lines to divide the email into specific topics. Very helpful, right? Like that was kind of a medium length email. When you can have headlines, it also helps you be be more tight in your thinking and make sure, okay, this is what I actually want to talk about. These are the 3 topics. So adding those headlines are key. Formatting emails in general is a great idea. You can have bold, italics, highlight for really important things, right? Sometimes when I include action items, I actually highlight it to make sure it really stands out. So don't be afraid to add formatting and break apart your emails, kind of like a Google Doc. And then lastly here, there is a line that states, when am I going to follow up with more information or what is the action that I want you to take? So always closing out with some sort of next step about what's going to happen, I think is important. Or if it's just an FYI email, you should state that as well. And one thing we can also add to our emails, especially if they're a little bit longer, is a TLDR, which stands for too long, didn't read. And this is something that you can put at the top of anything you write in case someone wants those quick takeaways without getting into the details. Now, when it comes to figuring out your TLDR, I want you to think about highlighting a few different things. So 1, updates that contribute to a company's goals or the bottom line. So anytime there's something significant that is impacting, LinkedIn's bottom line or success metrics, definitely include that there. Second thing, any major changes or updates your team needs to be aware of. Third thing, any interesting trends that you want to highlight. And then the 4th thing, which I just touched on, any actions needed from the group. So we are going to practice TLDRs with this email here. Oh, that's great. Nina says Copilot attempts to do that for us now. TLDR, excellent. So if we have any Succession fans in the audience, hopefully we do, this email will make a little bit more sense and be a little bit more fun for you. So we have this email here, right, from Kendall at Waystar. So hi, Logan. I am pleased to report that Waystar Royco's Q2 financial results have exceeded our forecasts, demonstrating a robust 15% increase in revenue compared to Q1. This remarkable growth is primarily attributed to the successful launch of our StarGo product line, which has significantly resonated with our target markets. Given these encouraging results, I recommend that we strategically increase our marketing investment in the next quarter. This will enable us to capitalize on the current momentum and further solidify our market position, particularly in emerging sectors. I am confident that this approach aligns with our broader objectives for growth and market dominance. I look forward to discussing the proposal with you and the rest of the executive team, including Roman and Shiv, to finalize and expedite our action plan. Best regards, Kendall Roy. So we are going to enter our first collaboration session, aka breakouts, where we are going to join Waystar and figure out the TLDR to this email. So Maidali is going to help me break us up into groups of 2. I'll give you all 4 to 5 minutes to come up with a TLDR with your partner. And then I will ask 1 to 2 volunteers to unmute and share with all of us. If there are any questions, leave them in the chat. You have the email that Maitli, I think, just sent through. And then, yeah, breakout rooms of 2 when you're ready, Maitli. And then I guess if you're in person, you can interact with your colleagues there. Close the rooms now, Maitli. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. Good to see you all again. Hopefully that was a fun exercise. So I would love to take 2 volunteers or 2 groups. You can just have a representative from one of your groups, just raise your virtual hand, and I'll just call on the first 2 people who pop up for me with their raised hands. Anyone want to share what their TLDR, what they came up with, or their experience writing it, if it was difficult or easy?
I can go first.
Sure. Who is speaking? I can't see.
Charlotte.
Charlotte? Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I partner with Gunjan. The TLDR version that we have done is Waystar's Royco's financial results has increased 15% quarter on quarter, driven by successful launch of Stargo product in Q2. With those results, I would propose a strategic boost in marketing investment next quarter to focus on emerging sector.
Mhm.
I will discuss this proposal with the executive team to finalize our action plan.
Nice. And was it hard coming up with that? Like, how did you decide to choose which bits and pieces you wanted to include?
Yeah, I think first, both of us kind of decide on like what are the key message that we would like, the recipient of this email receive, and then structure it, through those pointers.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you for sharing. I feel like you've got all the important points, and definitely anytime you can talk about financial metrics or like improving the bottom line, like that's always something I think leaders want to hear first. So excellent job. Thank you for sharing. One more group of volunteers. Anyone want to share?
I can
No
go.
pressure if no one does.
Just
Okay.
pasted it there. Just thought it's easier.
Okay.
I've put and Anna and I were discussing those who've attended DDU, which is the Data Driven University course within LinkedIn. We would have seen this like ask by or whether it's an action. So kind of just making sure what it's clear right on top. So we've put the ask there, we've put the bullet points, and then we've said what the next steps are.
Nice. Yeah, that's really great too. So you're kind of taking the header advice from like the previous section, but using it for TLDR. I really like that as well. And thank you, Ashley, for sharing the TLDR in the chat. And if anyone else wants to throw theirs in, just so we can all get inspiration and see what other people picked out, totally feel free to do that. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So this was my TLDR. Q2 financials are strong, showing a 15% revenue increase, largely driven by Stargo product success. Proposing a budget increase for Waystar Royco's marketing initiatives to maximize this growth. All right, next, let's talk about how we are speaking. So we just covered what we say when we speak. Now, how do we say it? So often, how you say it is just as important as what you say. And one of the most important things to think about to strengthen your virtual communication in the Zoom or Teams room is your framing and body language. So looking at these 3 photos here, A, B, or C, which one looks closest to your setup in terms of your framing? A, B, or C, let me know in the chat. Natasha says C, Swati right now A. Mix of A and C, 1B from Eugene. Gunjan A, Trey B. Okay, it looks like a lot of A and Bs. Ludicia B, Charlotte A. Yeah, a lot of A and Bs. Okay. Ideally, your video should look more like C, right? You want to show your shoulders, you want to show a little bit of your torso, and then you want a little bit of space above the top of your head. So actually, pretend this is the new top. 3 fingers worth of space is a good rule of thumb, right? So when you show more of your body like this, you're no longer just a floating head, and the person on the other side of the video will feel more like you're having an in-person conversation, right? Because now you can see a little bit more of my body, you can see my hand gestures. So I want us to do a quick group activity to adjust our cameras and our framing right now. So everyone please stick out your arm. So you want about an arm's length of distance between yourself and your camera. So if your camera is less than an arm's length of distance, likely too close, you're gonna have, your head take up most of the space. If it's too far, you're probably gonna end up with situation A, where you're kind of like small like this on camera. So we want about an arm's length of distance, right? And then I want you to make sure that you have about that 3 fingers worth of space above your head. So you can prop up your camera on delivery boxes, books, like does not have to be fancy at all, but try to adjust it so that you have, again, kind of this framing where you're taking up a majority of the screen and you're showing a little bit of your torso. So I'm gonna just go do a quick feedback session now. I'll give everyone a second to adjust their cameras. I see everyone like sitting up straighter. Okay, I'm just gonna go through really quickly. So Swati, you can definitely move your camera a little bit lower, and you have too much space above your head right now. So 3 fingers worth. Yeah, excellent adjustment. Charlotte, you look pretty good, but I think you can show a little bit more of your torso if you can just make those adjustments. And Anne, you can have a little bit less space above your head, a little bit more torso. I'll skip the in-person. Ashlyn, you look pretty good. Ashlyn, I think maybe you could, I think right now you're leaning forward a little bit, but when you're on calls, maybe, just kind of lean back a little bit, sit up with straight posture. Maitsley looks pretty good, maybe a little bit less space above your head. Sarah, you can have a little bit less space above your head, but I like how much of the torso you're showing. Erica, you look pretty good. You might be able to show a little bit more of your torso as well with just a few more adjustments. Trisha, a little bit less space above your head. Otherwise, I think your framing's pretty good. And then if you can, try not to have the light coming from behind you because then you look a little bit backlit. Micah, is that right? Mika? Micah, first one? Micah? Oh, Mika. Okay, Mika. Mika, your framing's pretty good. I think you might be able to push your camera a little bit farther away from you. So again, show a little bit more of your torso. And I'll explain the torso piece in the next section why I'm asking you all to show a little bit more. Alyssa, you look pretty good. I think right now though, you want the camera, I can tell just from the angle of like how the roof looks right now that it's a little bit coming from below. So if you can kind of prop it up so I can see that the camera is like very much eye level, that would be a good adjustment. Eugene, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, hopefully. Let me know if I'm not. Push the camera back a little bit farther. So again, show more of your torso. Helen, hi Helen. A little bit more of your torso as well. Sherilyn, first, second pronunciation. What did I say that? Sherilyn? Did I say that? Sherilyn. Okay, Sherilyn. A little bit, cut down the space above your head. You need to, pretty good changes. Yeah, I think if you want a little bit more torso is possible, but I think overall your framing is solid. Ludicia, you look pretty good. Joyce, pretty good with spacing, but maybe try to get a little bit more of your torso in there. Deepika, more of your torso, but the spacing on top is good. Sakshi, a little bit more of your torso, so maybe push the camera back a little bit. Gunjan, if hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, but correct Gunjan, okay. A little bit more of your torso, and same feedback that I gave Alyssa, that yeah, it's kind of like I can tell it's like coming up this way, so you want to be more face on. Anuja, a little bit too much spacing above your head, so you want to take up a little bit more of the screen. Let's see who I missed. Atreyu, did I go with two already? Yeah, you can take a little bit of space down. Natalie, looks pretty good. Almost done here. Advithi looks good. Naina or Nina, first pronunciation or second or neither. Naina, did I say that first? Okay, Naina, okay. You look good. Vandana, a little bit less space above your head, please. Pushpa, you can push your camera back. I want to see a little bit more of your torso. Natasha, you look pretty good, framing wise. Carrie, you look pretty good. Ashley, pretty good with spacing on top. Try to show a little bit more of your torso. Amy looks good. And Emma, a little bit more of your torso, a little bit less space on top. Okay, I think I got through everyone. If I didn't, in the Q&A section, just remind me and I can give you a little feedback session as well. All right, so we just went through all our framing, right? Framing is important because framing leads to better body language and hand gestures. So really interesting data on hands. Data has shown that when you show your hands on camera, you are seen as warmer, more energetic, more personable, just so many good things that happen when you show your hands on camera. And so that's why I wanted a lot of you to show more of your torso, right? Because when you are like this and you don't have enough space here, it is very awkward to move your hands so high up, right? So we want a little bit more of our torso showing. And what we want to do is we want to aim for our hands to be above the bottom of the video screen. So you are going to have to lift your hands higher up than probably feels natural at first. I know a lot of people are using their hands, but they're using them down here, right? And it's no use if you're moving your hands down here because no one can see them. So you want to stay in this green zone up here. You're going to want to avoid the red zone, right? Up high, too enthusiastic. Down low, again, no one can see what you're doing. So that's why I wanted you to all have the right framing, because then you can bring your hands on camera and then get all those amazing benefits that happen with hands on camera when it comes to communication. Now, if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable about what hand gestures to use, I like to say, just start off with a simple hello and goodbye. That is a perfectly viable option to get comfortable with that. Counting things off, you will see me do that in the session today, or I'm talking about 2 things, or I'm talking about 3 things, right? Talking about something small, I will use a pinch gesture. Talking about something big, or if I'm excited, I'll kind of use my hands in this bigger gesture here. So all those things that you can try and experiment with. Now next, I want to talk about how we're speaking with our voice. There's a few things I want you to think about. So the first is projecting your voice. So one of the things that can make your communication poor quickly is when you use filler words. So some of you talked about filler words when we were talking about the minimizing language, right? So those are phrases like, like, too many of those and it becomes very distracting and makes you seem a little bit unprepared. So one tip to help you eliminate filler words, I want you to raise your voice 25% louder than you normally speak. Now, when you are speaking more loudly, it is much more difficult to say filler words. So listen to yourself later today, talk in a more relaxed way, and then kind of bring a little bit more energy to it. You will notice that the filler words sneak in when you are more relaxed and kind of less energetic. Second, I want us to think about our breath, more specifically the difference between chest breathing and belly breathing. So belly breathing comes from the belly, right? It's going to feel more supported and give your voice a richer tone. Chest breathing, the air comes up here. So we're going to do an exercise together, practicing both. So I want you to first practice breathing from your chest, right? So when you breathe from your chest, just make sure everyone's on mute. When you breathe from your chest, this part is going to move. Your chest is going to come up and down, right? So let's take a few breaths together. In through your chest, out. And again, your chest should be expanding, out. Now let's try breathing from our belly. So you can put your hands on your obliques. Your hands should move out a little bit when you're breathing in and then deflate when you're moving out. So breathing through our belly here. The breath should come more from our tummy area. All right. So hopefully you can feel the 2 differences, right, in the breath, where they come from. So just everyone, just double check you're on mute. And I want us to spend a few minutes. We're going to breathe through our chest, and then we're going to read this sentence out loud. So again, on mute, but we're going to read the sentence out loud wherever you are, breathing through your chest. And then we're going to switch. So maybe do it like once or twice, and then switch to the belly breathing, and then read it again. And then we'll talk about the difference that we felt in our experience. So I'll give you about 2 minutes to do this exercise. So start breathing through your chest, read this phrase, and then breathe through your belly, and then read this phrase. It actually might be enough time. So let me know in the chat, what was your experience with each? Did one feel better or more difficult? Sakshi says speaking with her belly was more relaxed and smooth. Yeah, you need to can't even do the chest breathing. You ran out of breath. Yeah, when I started giving keynotes, and trainings, I breathed very much up here because I was nervous and always ran out of breath. It was very stressful. Yeah, other people have run short of breath too. Anuja also ran short of breath. Ashley, belly breathing is better and easier. Yeah, Carrie, belly breath makes the talk more stable and consistent. Yeah, so you're all experiencing the power of the belly breath. So this is just something good to keep in mind in just everyday talk. But also, I saw Unita's about to record something for an all hands. So anytime you're giving a presentation, right, to kind of center and ground yourself and just make sure you're speaking with power and confidence, take that deep belly breath. All right, with that, we'll move into our first recap when it comes to communications. So we talked about how to improve what we say by eliminating minimizing language and through our written communication. And then we talked about how we say it through framing, body language, and our voice. So next, I want to talk about the second C, which is our career brands. So career brands are so, so important. I made a post on LinkedIn about this the other day. I think Ann might have liked it. Companies come and go, but your career or personal brand is going to stick with you forever. Now, there are a number of misconceptions around the phrase personal brand or career brand. For example, career brands, oh, these are, for people who just love to be self-promotional, or only extroverts have career brands, or a personal brand is only for executives. I don't need it right now. All false, right? So I want us to reframe it this way. Yes, self-promotion is an important skill, but having a career brand is also about showing your value. So it's self-promotion is not just about bragging, but it's a way to show your contributions and learnings that others can benefit from. And it's certainly not just for extroverts. I am an introvert, and everyone needs to show their strengths and to be consistent in how they show up. And the way you can do that, can be different depending on what feels authentic to you and what your personality type is. And I bet you that executives got to where they are today because they had a strong brand. They didn't just show up one day and get the job. They had to make it known that they had the knowledge and skills and desire to get where they are. Now, other way to think about it is answering this question, right? What are people saying about you when you're not in the room? What is your reputation? By building an intentional career brand, you're going to be able to impact what people say and have control over that. Like, how cool is that, right? We just need to take it into our own hands. So I want us to get these things in writing. So either on your laptop or on a piece of paper, let's spend about a minute writing down, what are the ways that people see you as now? What adjectives might they use to describe you? And then how might you want them to start thinking about you moving forward? So we'll take 1 minute to jot these down, and then I'll ask for 1 or 2 volunteers to share. And then you're also free to, one or two volunteers to unmute and share, and then you can also feel free to share in the chat. All right, so how do people currently think about you? How are you described when you're not in the room? And how might you want this to change afterwards? And if you're having trouble coming up with the current, that is okay too. And that's a good sign that it's time to be more proactive and find out what people currently think about you, right? So you can figure out how you might adjust and change things to impact your after image. All right, so any volunteers, 1 to 2 people to unmute, you can raise your virtual hand if you would like to share. You can also just share in the chat if you feel more comfortable that way. Anyone want to share their current and then their desired after? Anuja, current submissive after assertive. Thank you for sharing. That's a great transformation.
I can go, Lorraine. I think for me, when I was moving from an individual contributor to a manager, I had done this exercise and I'd specifically actually created a document. I identified
Nice.
the 3 key objectives and I shared
Yeah.
with my manager and my senior manager. And I said, look, when
Yeah.
I'm not in the room, I want to be known as strategic, I want to be known as compassionate, and I want to be known as a problem solver. And every
Yes.
time I showed those traits, I would like put in examples there. And I actually shared it with them. And I said, when you're talking about me, making decisions about me, considering for a project or a role, like it's impossible for you to remember from so many people. So just remember this document and these 3 things. And I just
Yeah.
shared it with them. So I think it's very powerful, especially if you're looking at transformation or transitions into new roles and teams.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Swati, for sharing. And I love that too, because I mean, it's like an extra proactive step, right? You're not just like, okay, this is how I want to be viewed after, but like, let me tell my manager and make sure like I want this to be just like so explicit because your manager is super busy. And even if you have the best manager in the world, they're going to forget things. So I'm really happy that you did that. And that's a great, piece of advice for all of us. Thank you for sharing. Okay, we have some great shares in the chat as well. Carrie says current, supportive, and creative, and then she wants to change to become an expert of product and impactful. Nice. Atreyu leads with kindness, polite, compassionate leader after strong, confident, collaborative, and impactful. Unita, current, smart, warm, organized, helpful, tense, nervous, risk-averse, busy, after, collected, authoritative, balanced, strategic, decisive, confident. Nice. I'm seeing the trend of confidence. I'm seeing more assertiveness in the after as a trend amongst all of you, so that's great. So let's do another exercise that helps us get a little bit closer to the after. So I want us all to pretend that we are in a large team meeting. Okay, so I'm a new client. I'm meeting you for the first time. Where, at the start of every meeting where you're meeting someone new, you're like popcorning around and everyone's introducing themselves. If we're in that meeting, we're on the client, how would you introduce yourself to me right now? So, team meeting, throw it in the chat. How would you introduce yourself? No one wants to introduce themselves to me? Okay, Pushpa. Start with name, professional background, and a little bit about the process. Swati, hi, my name is Swati. Oh, CT, excuse me, CT, my bad. And I lead the APAC implementations teams. I've been with LinkedIn for 9 years and I have 15 plus years of experience in human capital. Nice. Vandana, mostly the context is set, name, where are you joining, where are you joining us from, role, I generally fall in the routine. Charlotte, hi, my name is Charlotte. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a senior talent acquisition partner based in Singapore. I partner with leaders to hire the best talent for the team. Nice meeting you. Oh, Swati, okay, I had it right. All right, excellent, okay. Anyone else want to share? Just how you say hello when you get on a call and meet someone new. All right, no one else. We're all about to do it right now. So, okay, Natasha, thank you. And you need to, I'm Natasha, B2B marketing and advertising expert, um, partnering with agencies and marketers to be productive and successful in their careers. I'm also passionate to serve refugees and underrepresented communities through economic empowerment. Unita, hi, my name is Unita. I'm based in Singapore in editorial strategy and operations for LinkedIn. I've lived in New York and Chicago as well, and I'm really excited to be getting to know you. Anuja from the HRBP team based in Bangalore, India. I've been with LinkedIn for 2 years now. Would love to know a little bit more about you. And Alyssa, part of the APAC comms team. Ooh, so many chats coming through. I focus on corporate and B2B comms. We seek to uphold LinkedIn's reputation in the region and support the business. And Atreyu, I'm the manager in APAC for product quality, and then explains what product quality team does. And Amy, I add in a quick bit about my background to help gain credibility. All right, excellent. Thank you. So a lot of these really solid starts, and some of these are excellent. let's think about how we can make them even stronger, right? So we're going to do that by establishing our UPI. So in other words, our unique and powerful introduction. So let's look at an example here. So when I've been on calls with multiple people from a team, these are some examples that come up. So someone would say like, oh, hi, I'm on Lorraine's team, or I'm an editor and I support Lorraine, right? So no one really said that here, but whose team you're on and your title shouldn't be the sole thing that defines you, right? Because you do a lot of other work. So instead you could change that to something like, I'm an editor on Lorraine's team. I'm responsible for leading content initiatives for the blog and social media to reach a business audience. So much improved. You just learned a lot more about me here, right? Here's another. I'm a product manager for the content feed. Instead, I'm a product manager. I'm focused on creating a content feed that serves up videos that help our members be better at their jobs. So I'm going to turn it back to you all now. So we're going to think about what is our UPI. So some ideas to help you. So a lot of you actually did a great job kind of elaborating a little bit more on what you do, but some of you can probably add a little bit more to it, right? So I want you to think about your role, what you do, who you do it for, who's your end user, what your mission, mission statement is, or goal or success metric, and what others should know about you. So it doesn't have to necessarily be just about your work. It could be something personal, right? You need to mention she lived in other cities before, so that can be something as good as well. So I'm going to give you all 3 minutes to come up with something. It does not need to be final. You can continue to tweak it. Some of you already seem to maybe have kind of your final UPIs. And then we are going to popcorn around. I'm just trying to see how we're doing on time. I think we have time to popcorn around quickly, and everyone will share their own new and improved UPI, all right? So I'll give you 3 minutes to elaborate on yours, or if you're happy with yours, you can keep it, but we'll get inspiration just from hearing everyone's and how they introduce themselves. And again, this is not the final thing. This is going to be something that you continue to iterate on, but it's good to just start thinking through. And then we can also get feedback from the group too when we share. And Natasha dropped off the from LinkedIn because after 6 years of co-branding with LinkedIn, I want to focus on my own personal brand. Excellent. I feel like I went through something similar. I worked at LinkedIn for almost exactly 6 years, and it was always like Lorraine, from LinkedIn, Lorraine doing cool editorial things at LinkedIn. And it felt very uncomfortable when I had to figure out like, who am I outside of Lorraine at LinkedIn? So I'm glad that you're thinking about that now. Yeah, at Vithi, we also do this thing on what's not on my LinkedIn profile when the context is people high-level know, when the context is people and they want to at a high level know each other. That's, yeah, questions like that are really great. All right, I'm just going to go in the order of my Zoom here, just to make it easier. So I'll go last, but Swati, you're on my Zoom, so do you want to give us your UPI?
Yep, and I'll popcorn it. Hi everyone, my name is Swati Mathur and I lead a team of implementation consultants across the APAC regions. We help onboard our enterprise customers across hiring and learning solutions to ensure they're set up for long-term success. I'm also a mom of 2 girls, 8 and 4, and I'm currently based in Singapore. And I'll pass it on to Maithili, who's next on my screen.
Oops, I wasn't expecting this, but okay, I'll just I'll go for this. Hi, my name is Maithili, and I'm a program manager on the APAC DIBS team based in Bangalore. I work on different development programs and DIBS resources for the organization. Very passionate about building DIBS. And beyond work, I'm very passionate about art and learning new DIY skills.
Great. And then can you popcorn it to someone else?
Yeah. Vandana, over to you.
Sorry, issues with unmuting. This is actually tough, but I'll still tell you what I've written. I'm Vandana, leading the customer success team at LSS India. With 11 years of experience at LinkedIn, I'm passionate about driving tangible value for our customers. My role revolves around ensuring my team, gets to the client or, ensures that, the customers achieve their goals and maximize their ROI. Let's connect and ensure how we can partner together. And I can open it over to Shalin.
Sure. Hi, my name is Charlotte. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a senior talent acquisition partner based in Singapore. So what I do on a daily basis is I partner with leaders across APAC to hire the best team, best talent for the team. And outside of work, I love to explore everything adventurous, from food, drinks, and activities. I'll pass it on to Mika.
Thank you, Charlotte. So I am a sales manager for LTS Japan. I have been working for 2 years in LinkedIn, and my main mission is to expand our business in Japan enterprise world. So our brand and readiness is very low compared to the other global market, but I believe I can expand the business to Japan by contributing to transform Japanese workforce. So I'm going to pass to Tricia.
Thanks, Mika. Hi there, I'm Trisha. I lead public policy engagements for Southeast Asia for LinkedIn. I'm passionate about understanding policy challenges as it relates to skills and workforce development issues and leveraging data insights to support policymaking. I've been in policy-related fields or roles for over 15 years now, and making that socioeconomic impact continues to drive my work. I will pop it over. I don't even know who's left now, I guess. I'm just gonna pop it over to Sherlyn. If you haven't gone already, Sherlyn.
Thanks, Trisha. Hi, my name is Shalin, and I'm the operations lead in the LTS go-to-market enablement team based out in Singapore. I'm responsible for leading the quarterly go-to-market plan for the sales team to ensure they are ready to communicate the latest sales narrative to the customers. I will popcorn it over to...
Just raise your hand if you haven't gone yet or want to go still. Do you see any raised hands, Sherilyn, that you want to pass it over to?
Unita.
Sure. Hi, my name is Unita. I'm an editorial strategy manager based in Singapore. I plan new product experiments and initiatives in order to make LinkedIn the go-to place for content for professionals around the world, from Australia all the way to Mexico. I aim to always be creative, courageous, and unlock new possibilities in every project and interaction I take on. I also love weaving and reading in my spare time. I will pass to Atreyi. Yeah, sorry if I pronounced wrongly.
No, that's absolutely right. Thanks, Sunita. I am Atreyi. I lead the APAC team for product quality based in Bangalore. My team supports flagship and horizontal products. We aim at making our products friction-free through proactive detection and problem solving. So I partner with R&D and global support to enable this. Outside of work, I am also an artist. I sketch, paint, and sing. I'm going to popcorn it over to
Raise the hand again. Sorry, Trey, I cut you off.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, go ahead, Deepika.
Deepika, I think she said, yeah. Okay.
Hi, my name is Deepika, and I work as an AD with LinkedIn in the Search and Staffing India team. And I've been with LinkedIn for more than 6 years now. During this time, I had the opportunity to manage staffing accounts of various sites, leveraging strategic initiatives and dedicated efforts to drive significant growth for the business. My role has encompassed not only account management,
Did she freeze for everyone else too? Okay. Let's move over to PubGrub actually. You all four can go, and then we'll have Deepika type it back in the chat.
Cool. I'll start. My name is Emma. For the past 15 years, I've dedicated my career to the staffing industry. For 11 of those, I've had the privilege of partnering with the largest recruitment firms in Australia. My primary focus has been to drive revenue growth and create value for our clients. Well done. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a senior marketer here at LinkedIn in the talent solutions team. I'm a passionate event marketer. I'm Irish and I migrated to Sydney 13 years ago, and I'm very passionate about exploring the world.
Me. Hi, my name is Lauren. I'm a lead CSM in marketing solutions. I've worked at LinkedIn for over 4 years, focusing on tech and telco clients across APAC to really enable and evolve their B2B marketing strategies. Prior to LinkedIn, I worked media agency side for 5 years, also working on tech clients, so very experienced and passionate about the world of tech. And outside of the work, I love Pilates, travel, and all things food.
Cool. And hi, my name's Amy. I'm a customer success manager with LinkedIn Learning. I work with higher education and public sector customers across Australia. I'm really passionate about skill development and helping my customers drive learning strategies. Prior to LinkedIn, I worked in learning and organisational development for 12 years. And outside of work, I am not even inside work. I'm also a mother and a stepmother, and also love doing Pilates. There we go.
Nice. Raise your hand if you still want to go and haven't been called on yet.
I can go.
We've got some, oh, sorry. We've also got some raised hands on Zoom. So.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Oh, I see now. Okay, yeah. Aditi?
Okay, I can go. Hi, everyone. I'm a senior recruiter in the engineering talent acquisition team in LinkedIn Bangalore, and I thrive towards partnering with our tech teams to build world-class engineering talent. And keeping me on my toes, I'm a mother to a 5-year-old boys outside work.
Nice. And then I think we'll close it out with Gunjan. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Gunjan. I'm an HRBP on the APAC CNS HRBP team. I'm based in Bangalore. Over the past 8 years, I've partnered with all the different lines of business across APAC, and I'm passionate about making LinkedIn the best place to work at, with the best managers and leaders people have had the pleasure to work with. Outside of work, I'm a dog mom, a foodie, and a world traveler.
Amazing. Well, thank you all for sharing. I loved all of those. I also love all the personal tidbits. We got to learn about all of you. And as a client, I feel like I'm in good hands, and I feel like we're all going to get along very well. All right, so I'm going to keep moving on. We don't have too much time left, so I want to make sure we get through everything. So next, I want to make sure that you're taking advantage of all of the virtual touch points in your day that add up in people's minds that contribute to your presence, because your brand, again, is not just about what people see when you're on a call. It's all those little interactions they have with you in a given day that build up over time that contribute to how people perceive you and your brand. All right, so we all interact virtually in some capacity, right? So I want to highlight the ways that you can stand out in those channels and start building up your brand, again, even if you're not in the same room. So let me know in the chat, thinking about your day, where do you interact with people most? Is it in meetings? Is it in chat channels? Is it through video calls, email, somewhere else? Throw it in the chat. Where are you interacting with people most in a given day? Swati Teams. Yep, Gunjan Teams. A lot of teams here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, looks like Teams and meetings is the primary, right? So earlier I said presence is not just about how others see you, right? It's where they see you. And again, it's not going to be face-to-face a lot of the times. So some of, no one actually mentioned email, but I'm sure I'm remembering correctly, a lot of email going around on LinkedIn still, right? So think about what's in your email signature. Is it just your name? Is it your job title? What else might we add in there? So I've personally added my newsletter, my speaking reel, my LinkedIn learning courses. I scanned my signature in to make it more personable, right? I added my photo. Now, this is me as a solopreneur, right? You might not have all these things that you want to include necessarily, but there are personal touches you can add, right? Maybe you have created a content report, or I saw that they launched LinkedIn top companies today. Like, you need to might add that into her email signature if she worked on it, right? Or you have a newsletter that you write or a blog that you write on the side that other people might find interesting. So you can add a lot of different things in here, but you can just see how much more robust this looks. And it looks like I actually put thought into this. Chat channels, right? So let's say I have this colleague, Lorraine. Lorraine is giving me nothing to work with, right? I see this blank profile picture, the name, like, I don't know anything about this person. And there is so much chat going on in a day, as we can see from from what you all said just now, right? So before, no profile picture, just a name. After, profile picture, name, my title, right? You can even add your UPI in there. And when you do that, I now associate you with an image instead of a blank avatar, just like everyone else has, right? You're already standing out that way. Same goes for video chat. Put your photos up on your video platform of choice. Ideally, you have your videos on. It's wonderful to see all your faces today, but there are times where it doesn't make sense for us to have our videos on, right? So looking at a photo of you is going to be a lot better than looking at this gray figure when talking to you. So we have covered some of the key elements that go into our career brand. Let's recap. So we thought through our current and desired perceptions. We came up with our UPIs. We optimized a few virtual touch points. And lastly, let's talk about C, credibility. So credibility means you're trusted, others believe in you. It's so key because if you don't have this, you're not going to be able to move forward in your career because no one wants to work with you. They don't believe that you're going to get the things done. Now, when I think about credibility, often the first thing that comes to mind is relationships. When you are recognized as a reliable and trustworthy individual, colleagues are naturally going to want to work with you and gravitate towards you, and they know that they can depend on you. Now, the thing is that even if you have the best skills, if you don't have those relationships with people, it's not going to get you too far, right? The relationships are going to help you amplify the work that you are already doing. So I want to talk about one of the simplest ways that we can start connecting with our coworkers more effectively, and that's turning off autopilot small talk. Now, small talk gets a bad rap, right? It's just very generic. It's like feels like kind of a necessary evil, but it doesn't have to be. So let's do a little test here. So which phrase do you hear most often when you get on a call? How are you? And give me a thumbs up if you are, there's going to be a corresponding emoji. So thumbs up if you hear how are you? Give me a smile if it's can you see my screen? Give me a clap emoji if it's how's the weather? Or give me a heart if you often hear something else in your calls. Got a lot of thumbs ups, as I suspected. Yeah, so a lot of how are yous, right? So unfortunately, these are not going to help you build relationships that earn you credibility. Instead, you can ask questions like, what was the highlight of your weekend? What are you most excited to be working on? Are you watching any fun shows or listening to any interesting podcasts? Or you're not even asking a question, you're just volunteering information about yourself, right? I'm going on a trip next week. Oh my gosh, I love when people volunteer information about themselves because it helps me make more conversation, right? Oh, where are you going? What's it for? Who you're going with, right? It allows us to build that camaraderie. So these are more ideal questions that we want to aim for, right? So think about autopilot as you want people to have to actually stop and think about the response to your question instead of the generic, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Good, thanks. Okay, let's get into it. All right. Now, the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to credibility, and the last topic of our session today, is building trust, which is so essential, and the importance of follow through. So how many of us have been in conversations like this? Monday comes around. Can you get this to me by Wednesday? Sure. Wednesday rolls around. Hi there. What's the status of this? Oh my gosh, so sorry, minimizing language. I got caught up doing other things. Can I get it to you later this week? Now, don't get me wrong, things come up. That's okay. If this happens every now and then, totally fine. But we don't want this to be a regularly occurring thing. That doesn't make us look very good or reliable. Instead, how about we look at conversations like this? Can you get this to me by Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific? Sure. Tuesday rolls around. Here's the first part. I'm confirming I'm on the right track. Let me know. All right, you got the thumbs up. Friday, here's a deliverable you requested. Now, there's a lot of things that are working well for both of these parties. The first person is so specific with what they are asking for. Friday, the day, 5 p.m., the time, and the time zone Pacific. Now, I know this session is for APAC, but I'm sure you all have colleagues all across the world. So we want to be really specific with what we're asking so that you are not having any miscommunications. Now, notice the request was for Friday. This person checked in earlier, right? Tuesday. So they're not wasting time working on the wrong thing. So confirming I'm on the right track. This person who's asking for the request probably feels great. Like, oh, okay, they're checking in with me. I see progress is being made. All right, that's great. And then, of course, last but not least, this person turned the deliverable on time, even ahead of schedule, which is not necessary, but they turned it on time. Now, if I'm this person asking for you to help me with this project and you turned it in on time, you were just so clear and great with your communication, I am going to be a lot more likely to want to work with you in the future, to give you projects, to collaborate with you, to give you a great peer feedback review, right? So there's a lot of this missing. I just follow through, I feel like, is one of the most underrated things, but it's just so critical to your reputation, to your brand. And so, small tweaks, but just go such a long way. So I encourage you to all keep this positive conversation in mind next time you're working on a project, which I know is hard. There's just so many things happening, so many things moving quickly, but it's really critical to building that credibility and building those relationships. And with that, we've covered credibility. So we talked about turning off autopilot and follow through. So communication, career brand, credibility. Which C do you feel like you want to tackle first out of those three? Which C are you going to commit to tackling? For bonus points, let me know within each C if there was a specific subcategory that you really want to focus on after the session today. Tasha's going to remove filler language. Nice. Swati, a lot of communications here. Okay. Communication is key. It's a great one to work on. Oh gosh, everyone's saying communication. Deepika, career brand, nice. Yeah, Anuja, just be more conscious about it. Anyone else? It looks like communication and career brand are the top contenders. Amy wants to focus on email communications. Wonderful. Yeah. Career brand, still evolving, want to work on it. Career brand, visual cues and communications. Good luck with your recording. You need to, Helen, minimizing language. Excellent. Well, I'm so glad to see all this. Vandana, tough to figure. All three actually, but surely credibility. Perfect. I mean, these are all important, right? Oh, I wish we had more time to go over even more tips. So hopefully these were a helpful start for you all. So thank you so much, everyone, for being so engaged today. It was so fun to also see everyone's videos. Not all sessions of people turning their videos on, so it's great to see your faces. And I just want to remind you that we have, or your team has, a feedback form for you. So if you could please fill it out. It goes a long way in helping them know what you enjoyed about this session, helps me learn what I did well, what I might be able to improve on in the future. And if you have any teams that you work on or any organizations you work with that you think might be interested in bringing me in as a speaker, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. It goes a long way. Referrals are the main way I continue to speak. So would love to hear from all of you if someone comes to mind, but please fill out this feedback form. And thank you, Ann, for sending that. And just a reminder that you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I have a weekly newsletter, bite-sized tips to supercharge your career in 3 minutes or less. It is free. And then also my LinkedIn learning courses, which are also free to all of you. I have 14 on there, 2 more on the way. So I encourage you to check all of those out. Most of them are nano courses. I think Ann actually discovered me through a nano course, which is super fun. So I encourage you all to watch those there. And with that, we have a few minutes left for Q&A. So I'm not sure who's moderating the questions, but if any came through, just feel free to ask them. Maitali or Ann, I'm not sure if it was one of you.
I see one question about transforming your virtual background and how you're presenting this deck?
Oh, yes. So this is not a virtual background. It's actually a virtual camera. So I used to work at Prezi. So I'm using a product called Prezi Video. And I'm actually controlling the visuals through the Prezi app. And essentially all I did on Zoom was I changed my camera from my external camera to my Prezi camera. So it just connects seamlessly like that. So it's not an actual virtual background because you can see I can like point to things and like engage with things in that way. And this is my real background here.
Love it. I know that everyone was very excited about the way that was coming up. I see another question from Unita about what is your own physical laptop or camera setup like?
Yeah, it's a bit bright right now. So I have an external camera, a Logitech Brio, and I have two LED lights. So one here that's shining on my face, one here that's brightening up the room. I also have two ring lights on the side just in case, and then a soft light, a softbox on the side as well, just in case. So I have another session on just video presence and I talk a little bit more about lighting, but lighting is super important to make you look more professional, to make you look clearer. So I encourage you all, if you have kind of a dark space, to try to add more lighting where you can. And again, I do this for a living, so yes, I have like a lot of extra lights that you probably don't need for like an everyday video call, but definitely you need, I encourage you all to get a little bit extra light.
Love that. Thank you, Lorraine. If anyone has any questions, feel free to go off mute. I see another question. How did you develop your own public speaking skills? Did you take any formal training or anything like that?
I did not. So I started public speaking in early 2021. So when I was at Prezi, they asked us all to come up with a personal goal for ourselves, and ideally it connected to our professional goal. And Prezi, I think probably most of you are familiar with, is a presentation platform. So I thought, okay, I work at a presentation company. Let me get more comfortable public speaking. I also had this coworker who was really great at public speaking, and I really admired him and thought, like, wow, he looks so confident. He looks so just polished. Like, I would love to be more like that. And so that personal goal, plus this colleague Spencer agreeing to kind of mentor me and give me feedback, was kind of the push I needed to get started. And I just started speaking for free, just random webinars. People, I knew through my network, I asked, they worked at certain organizations, I asked to speak and just practiced a lot, just kept at it, kept getting feedback, always asking for feedback. Even now I'm like, fill out the feedback form. I want to just know what I can improve for the future. And then, yeah, slowly but surely I started improving and I enjoyed it and got better at it, and then it became a side hustle, and then I actually got laid off in November 2022, and then I thought, I'm going to lean into this as my full-time thing. So speaking is a big part of it, and then also the teaching with LinkedIn Learning, for example, and then all the other kind of things I do as well. But it was a journey.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And like Anand said, it's tough to stay committed to something like this. So really appreciate your commitment throughout. Any other questions? I see a lot of comments coming in.
Change my lighting here a little bit. The color seems it's nighttime for me, so I think my color is the lighting is adjusting a little bit funny. Turn it down.
I think with that, we're good. I don't see any other questions. If I've missed out on any, please feel free to just raise your hand. Oh, yes. Carrie, you can go ahead.
Sure, maybe you cannot see, but I asked, how does the presentation work? Like you do today, half the video, you are showing yourself and half of the presentation. I'm super curious about
it's
that part.
Yeah, it's just a virtual camera. So I build this in the Prezi presentation product, and when I import it into Prezi Video, the background drops out so you can see me, and then all of this is just an overlay, right? Like you can still see my background, you can see me pointing to things. So yeah, it's just like a side-by-side thing. I can have content here, I can have content here, anywhere. But yeah, that's how it works. It's just a visual overlay, essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
a lot of love and feedback coming in through the chat.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I think they're good. Sounds like
Okay.
everyone's, kind of diving in and thinking and, working on, do I need to get Prezi? But very helpful, Lorraine. It has been wonderfully, kind of impactful. Even just listening to everyone's introduction made a big difference. Really big difference.
Yeah, that was fun to hear everyone's. And yeah, just thank you everyone again. I hope you feel more confident and excited. And again, like executive presence, it can just be, and like branding can be like, oh my gosh, like such a big thing. But hopefully these are, very tactical tips you can start implementing and you will see progress over time. So just stay consistent with it. And it's just wonderful that you're even thinking about it. That's the first step, right? So I hope you all feel more confident and energized moving forward. And I look forward to hearing how things progress. So, anytime, send me a note on LinkedIn and let me know how it's going.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.